So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFifa.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFifa for 10% off when you order. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, and you guessed it, the Scouting for United series. Now you might be wondering who we are talking about today, although actually you're probably not. I mean, he's literally on screen already, he's in the title and he's in the thumbnail, so if you are still wondering, it is Sofyan Amrabat, the Moroccan Fiorentina midfielder who has had a very good season. Of course, in terms of for Morocco, he impressed massively at the World Cup with some really very good performances in that Morocco side, which done way better than what anyone expected. But he's also been good for Fiorentina this season as well, recently performing really well in the Conference League final loss against West Ham, and you know, that performance combined with what people saw at the World Cup has seen him thrust into the ideas of people's minds of a player which should be looking for a move this summer, whether that be Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Manchester United. There have been a few different clubs linked with him, and people are kind of coming to these quick judgments about what they think he is as a player. And some of those judgments are accurate, but some of them not so much, and you can tell that some people are purely basing it on numbers that they see, and they just kind of jump to this conclusion very quickly. Fortunately, that isn't the case on the AJ Analysis channel, because I am a massive follower of the Serie A, or I was last season. So therefore, I have seen a lot of Amrabat and I know a lot about him as a player. So that's what we're talking about today. But we'll start off with a sort of profile. And at 26 years old and around 6 foot tall, this is a midfielder very much coming into his prime. It's at that age where players should be coming into their best years as a footballer. And like we said already, there, at 6 foot tall, he is a decent physical presence in the centre of the park. And that is very much his position. He is a central midfielder. And I think if he was to sign for Manchester United, he would most likely come in as a backup holding midfielder for Casemiro. Last season we saw that Casemiro was overplayed and it had a really bad effect on his performances, but also every time Casemiro got one of those really questionable suspensions, United had no one to bring in his position. Amrabat could play that sort of position, from where he is genuinely a very good footballer. And importantly, he's very good on the ball. This is a very technical player. And in my opinion, he has a real element of press resistance about him. Someone who can drop in here, absorb the pressure, keep the ball for his side and release the ball to someone else. Now, whilst he is press resistant, he isn't someone which does it at a high volume. So this isn't someone who, you know, say every time the centre back has the ball, you won't see Amrabat dropping in every single time to receive possession. That just doesn't seem to be the way he likes to play. However, when he does receive the ball, he is very secure in possession. He can absorb the pressure, take the ball on this turn the player and move away from there. And it is reflected in his numbers, both of those 2 points there. So initially, take-ons attempted only in the 19th percentile and successful take-ons only in the 34th percentile. However, successful take-on percentage, the 95th percentile. Times tackled during take-ons, the 92nd percentile. And tackled during take-on percentage, the 88th percentile. So what that shows is that he isn't a player which looks to get the ball and turn a player on a regular basis, but when he does it, he is very impressive. So it looks like he has the skill set to become this first phase midfielder. Now, is that something which Erik ten Hag would ask of him? We just don't know at this moment in time. But to me, he looks like he has the skill set to receive the ball in these areas under pressure, because he's genuinely very good in these areas, and it is something which we could see him doing on a more regular basis if he made the move to Old Trafford. Something else I'd expect to see if he makes the move to Old Trafford is quick first-time passing, and this is another way in which he is press resistant. He's very capable of receiving this ball here, he's already scanned around, he already knows what he's doing with the ball before he even gets it, which allows him to play a quick pass to an open teammate. And in general, Amrabat's passing under pressure is very impressive. And I think if you want an example of it, I recommend going back and watching that Conference League final against West Ham. The amount of times Fiorentina gave Amrabat the ball when he wasn't really even in prime position to receive the ball. They seemed to have such a trust in him that he got given the ball in pretty much every single situation. There were scenarios when a player would maybe have the chance to take the ball forward, but instead they would pass to Amrabat under a little bit of pressure. That kind of showed the real trust that they have in him on the ball and his technical ability, and you know, that's a big credit to a player. And it is justified, because on the ball he is very, very good. Whether he's under pressure or got time on the ball, he is very, very accomplished. Now from here, he's also a good passer of the ball. So not only those first time passes out wide, but also passes further forward. Whether that be short range, medium range or long range passing, Amrabat kind of has every pass in his locker. Now playing in the current Fiorentina side, we see a bit more of a longer approach to his passing. Regularly looking to switch to play either to the left wing or the right hand side. It's something he does very, very effortlessly, and he is one of the best long passers in all of Europe in terms of the amount of long passes which he attempts, but also the success rate he has with these longer passes. And it's also a similar case with his medium range passing as well. Now his short range passes aren't quite as frequent and also aren't quite as accurate. However, personally I believe that to be more down to kind of Fiorentina's approach and the tactics and the role which he is given in the current team. Because, you know, for such a technical player to be so good at receiving the ball under pressure and also so good at playing long passes and short passes, it would seem odd for him to then be particularly bad at his short passing. So I just don't think it is the case. I think it is more of a tactical instruction. But in general, we can see from this FBref report here that he ranks very, very well in a lot of different passing metrics. There is a lot of dense green bars here. And particularly towards the bottom, progressive passes as well. Passes into the final third, the 92nd percentile, passes into the penalty area, the 75th percentile, crosses into the penalty area, the 95th percentile, and progressive passes, 7.93 per 90, ranking him in the 92nd percentile. So not only is he very good at keeping the ball for his side, protecting the ball and, you know, keeping the ball ticking over, dictating the play, he's also very good at moving the ball forward through the lines, which would be very useful. Getting players like Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount on the turn in these half spaces, it could be very, very effective. All of these attributes suggest that Amrabat could be kind of the perfect player to be used in the rotations at Manchester United, especially when you add on to this the fact that he loves to drop in between the centre-backs, something that we have seen Erik ten Hag asking of his midfielders before. Casemiro done it on occasion last season, but the season before that at Ajax, we saw Edson Alvarez doing it quite a lot. Maybe we could see something similar with Amrabat, dropping into this position. Now, importantly, like I've said already, this would require rotations. This wouldn't be a constant thing. Sometimes maybe Amrabat would be deeper, maybe another time Dalot would be a little bit deeper, forming a back three like this, but that is something which Amrabat would be more than comfortable doing, because he is happy to kind of pass and move into different positions to make himself always ready to receive the ball. He is metronomic on possession, he is a high volume player, someone which dictates the tempo of the play, whilst also keeping the ball for his side, but also making sure to progress it forward. Now on top of that, in games where United want to be a bit more secure on the ball, he could also be played alongside Casemiro. Potentially someone like Mason Mount could come out the side, we could see maybe Luke Shaw pushed a bit further forward, Rashford coming inside, Casemiro and Amrabat would then be a very good defensive pairing, and the two of them would really bring a sense of security to this Manchester United team. And that is because Amrabat is a good ball-winning midfielder. Now, this is where I think people are kind of not seeing the true side of him when they look at the stats, because his numbers in terms of tackles in the defensive third, the middle third, the attacking third, tackles attempted, tackles completed, are all actually quite low, and we're not going to bother looking at them today. However, when you actually watch him play, he is a good ball winner. So why are the numbers so skewed? It's because Fiorentina are actually quite a high possession based team, so there is less chance for Amrabat to put the tackles in. But we can see here, when he does put the tackles in, he tends to be pretty successful. So in terms of dribblers tackled, only in the 29th percentile, and the dribblers challenged, the 10th percentile. However, the percentage of dribbles tackled when he's attempting to tackle, and whether or not he wins it, the 84th percentile, and challengers lost, 94th percentile, which suggests that when he does engage in those 1 versus 1 duels, he normally comes out on top, and that is exactly what United needs, so that would be a huge, huge positive. Now, of course, as I say about any player that we ever cover on the channel, Amrabat does have weaknesses. This isn't the perfect midfielder. If he was perfect, he probably wouldn't still be at Fiorentina. No offence to them. So what are the weaknesses? Well, what are the weaknesses in terms of if he was to move to Manchester United and be a backup to Casemiro? Quite simply, he isn't as good defensively as what Casemiro is. Now, I'm sitting here saying he is good in his 1 versus 1 duels, but he still isn't perfect. He still isn't a high volume defender. He's not a high volume ball winner, which United could need in their side next season. He's also not very good in the air. Despite being about 6 foot tall, we rarely actually see him going and winning headers, which would be a problem in the Premier League, a league where most of the current top 6s in the league at the moment are quite big physical presences that are good in the air.
Amrabat doesn't really tick that box, so that would be a concern. People are also concerned that he doesn't really offer enough creativity in the final third, but for me that wouldn't be too much of a problem. I think if we're looking at him probably being a Casemiro backup, so, realistically he's playing with Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes in midfield, I don't think there is a need for Amrabat to be that creative. I think more just progressing the ball, getting the ball moving forward is more than enough. Then let Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount be creative. So I don't think that is too much of a problem. Another thing which I don't think is too much of a problem is his pressing off the ball. Now again, his tackles in the attacking third, he actually ranks pretty lowly. But in terms of shot creating actions which follow a defensive action from Amrabat, Amrabat ranks in the 98th percentile in the world. So, again, he maybe doesn't do it all the time, but he is very good at winning the ball high up the pitch, leading to chances for his side. So I think he would be suited to pressing football as well. I think overall you can see why there is clear interest in Amrabat. He's a very good footballer, and that's why several top teams want him. Now, he isn't the press-resistant midfielder that we've linked with Manchester United for the past 18 months. He just isn't. However, I do see a world where he could maybe become it, although I do think it is unlikely that we see it on a high volume scale. However, when given the ball, in tight situations, he does have it to his game, it's just not on a regular basis. He's very technical, and I think that is what United need in the midfield at the moment. He's certainly more press resistant than someone like Casemiro, so he would be an upgrade in that department. He's also very, very good with his passing, much safer than someone like Casemiro, but that means that he keeps possession for his side. He's high volume, demands the ball a lot, keeps the ball spraying from one side to the other, whilst also progressing the ball through the thirds as well. He's also good from a defensive point of view, happy to high press and win the ball, but also track runners and kind of pick up different pockets of space. I think Amrabat is a very, very good footballer. Do I think he is in that elite bracket right now? Not really. I don't think he is quite at the moment. However, if you're asking him to come in and be backup to Casemiro or occasionally play alongside him in a double pivot, maybe if you switch to a 4-2-3-1, I think that Amrabat looks like a really, really good option. Now for me personally, someone like Lavia of Southampton is still the better option for a backup midfielder. But if Amrabat is going to cost closer to £25-30 million as a squad player, it's certainly a move that I would keep an eye on, because I do think that Manchester United will have their eye on this transfer this summer. But now it's time to let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you think of Amrabat? Did you watch him at the World Cup? Did you watch him in the final the other week? Have you watched him in general this season? And if so, what do you make of him? If you haven't watched him, what else would you like me to tell you about him? What do you still want to know? And also, just in general, what are your thoughts on Amrabat? Also, if you could subscribe to the channel before you go, it would be greatly, greatly appreciated. We are racing towards 15,000 subscribers on the channel, which would be absolutely mental. But apart from that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.